It takes a lot for me to genuinely hate someone online. Usually I save that word for people who have decided to get frisky with their pets or young children, or those trying to butter up people advocating for just that. But when a person starts doxing, false copyright claiming, and harassing friends of mine, both on and offline, all stemming from a stupid little internet beef we had, I think I'm pretty justified in holding nothing but contempt for someone. Dander Woolf, or his current alias Dander Whitepaw, is a furry commentator who has gone on to make less content than previously, but still managed to involve himself in more drama than before. He's a creator that I had blocked for upwards of a year now, because nearly every interaction I've had with them has only brought on mental damage rivaling that of a sentient migraine. He's a person who appears to have bred a community of actual toxicity, one that houses minors while being an active danger to the underage. Not only would minors in his community risk being subjected to spam of gore and bestiality content, but one minor would be unfortunate enough to moderate for him, gaining the privilege of turning him on in the process. But let's dial it back a bit. How did we get here? Well, Dander Woolf is a channel that started out by making commentary videos talking about scams that were going on at the time, with Roblox gameplay as the B-roll. He would talk about things such as Roblox livestream scams, as well as the furrymates.com ads that would plague YouTube back then. This would be his primary form of content until July 30th of 2021, where Dander would release the first of 6 videos he did going over the infamous Garo Shadow Scale, a creator who has had their own controversy due to the absurd pricing and benefits he listed on his Patreon back then. There's nothing wrong with bringing attention and giving your opinion on practices like these. The issue comes when this becomes the majority of both your YouTube and Twitter presence. Even worse when your callouts against that creator begin to devolve into claims backed by simple hearsay, lacking the concrete evidence to support it.
Garo Shadowscale has also been reported to harass people on VRChat and Discord, and I can say, this is just very petty. Someone found me on the YouTube comment section of my videos to talk to me about Garo. After they reached out to me, they explained to me that Garo joined their world on VRChat, and when Garo joined the world, Garo went straight for a user named Zig. He then went to say that the avatar recolor Zig was wearing was stolen. After that, Zig called him a low life form and blocked Garo and banned him from the world. He had friends come in the world and crash Zig and everyone else in the world as well. And then he went to Zig's Discord server where she teaches people how to recolor avatars, and once he joined, he had other friends join the server and he had them send NSFW to the server, which mostly consisted of minors. Thankfully, Zig went to tell VRChat staff what happened and they will look into it. She did delete all of the photos and evidence so that the minors don't have to look at it anymore, so I do not have exactly proof, but I can show you all the reactions of everyone in the server.
This behavior of Dander's would be criticized in a video by my friend LaBratt, where she would lay out how, regardless of Garo's actions, Dander's need to constantly provoke and harass him, documenting any time he would get a reaction from him, slowly became an act of online harassment. This would be the catalyst of a number of things we'll be going over in this video, so keep in mind that a good chunk of the things I'll be talking about were due to LaBratt warning Dander against harassing people online. On May 29th, the day after Lab's upload, there would be a back and forth on Twitter over it, where an associate of Dander would take jabs at Lab for making the video, at one point misgendering Lab in the process. When corrected, they would double down, saying, "Someone's having a personality disorder when it says nowhere you are a girl, or trans, especially when I saw your fail of a video." He said this due to Lab not having her pronouns nor the fact she was trans in her bio at the time, only going off of her voice from the video. This resulted in a continued slap fight on Twitter, one that Dander would fan the flames of with his own tweet saying, "I'ma do what's called a labbratt. Say my pronouns are she, her, but don't put it in bio and sound like a male to get people to accidentally say he, him so I have a reason to cancel someone for misgendering. LMFAO." No, there's no other context to this. Lab didn't make any tweet or campaign against Dander due to Merlin misgendering her. That's all the lead up there was to this tweet. Now, I had involved myself in the slap fight at this time as I was sticking up for a friend of mine here. An hour or so later, Dander would walk back the tweets he made in this situation, as well as disavowing Merlin's statements at the time. Personally, I believe this was due to the members of our makeshift circle of associates condemning what Dander said. Mind you, Dander and Merlin would allegedly begin dating after this occurred, but Dander would soon cheat on him later down the line, so that's neither here nor there. Also, none of us were aware of this at the time, so, you know. A few hours would pass before Dander would upload an apology video due to the situation. Looking through the now unlisted apology, Dander would open by rambling about how he was sorry for obsessing over Garo's shadow scale as much as he did, which was the reason Lab made her video on him.
But I just came here because I just wanted to say I'm really sorry for what has been going on, for basically like harassing Garo to the point that it was almost driving me insane. Like, it has gotten to the point where my mental health was like draining completely. And it was getting to the point where everyone was just sick and tired of me making those videos, or just basically going on to him for so long. I'm really sorry for all of that.
He would then remember that he wanted to apologize to labbratt as well. Now, he would manage to start off his apology for misgendering Lab by mistakenly misgendering her again, but that's not to say he's transphobic. I just find that kind of funny.
Honestly, I don't think this is the only thing I should probably be apologizing. But another thing is that I'm also really sorry to labbratt. Okay, so labbratt did make a video about me, and my point on it is that he's right. He's honestly right about me. Everything in that video is right about me. Anyways, I'm really sorry for that tweet about I just thought that Lab was basically like didn't put the pronouns on her bio basically to like weaponize it or so. But the actual case with that is she didn't put it there because she didn't want to feel the peer pressure of getting judged. And I'm honestly sorry for everything, and I'm sorry for that one guy on Twitter. I don't remember his name at this point. But him with those remarks.
Following the posting of this video, Dander would message me in Twitter DMs saying he just saw what Merlin posted in the thread, an hour after he uploaded the apology video. He came to me saying that he didn't condone Merlin's actions and had just gotten to reading them before he posted his apology video. Now at this point I was quite irritated with Dander, so I responded by saying that I didn't think he was a transphobe. I just thought he was too immature to have a platform if this was how he answered criticism. I just said that in a much more long-winded way. He took me saying this as me being an asshole who wouldn't hear out his side, saying that he didn't even know Lab was trans at the time despite making the tweet that he did. After some back and forth, he continued to insist that he just got to see them after the ordeal blew over, saying that he was a busy person with a job, despite there being concrete proof he was tweeting not only when this all went down, but hours after the fact. At what point during all of this was he at work? Did he make and edit his apology on his lunch break or something? At a certain point, I just got fed up with him. Even more so seeing him tweet out about how he used to look up to me, but now he thought I was an asshole. So I essentially called him an attention whore in the most verbose, nerd emoji way possible, and called it a day from there. So this conversation stretched through April 30th of 2022. So I'm sure you can imagine my shock when on May 1st, the next day, Dander Woolf had uploaded a call-out video on labbratt, even being nice enough to devote a small portion of it to me. In the video, he repaints the situation to say that he stopped being obsessive about Garo before Lab uploaded her video on him, but that she was right in calling him out.
So, it's been a little over a week since I stopped talking about Garo. After I stopped talking about him, I would usually make random Twitter posts of normal stuff or me just bringing up other drama besides the Garo situation. Then, when I was minding my own business, Labbratt decided to upload a video about me, and her video was talking about how I've been talking about Garo too much, and which is an unhealthy and all. And she is completely right, by the way.
He even makes sure to mention that Lav has friends with sizable platforms on YouTube.
I also want to mention that she has 3 other very popular YouTubers to back her up, which is LagoVirt, Simple Nix, and Coyote Lovely, all having at least 10,000 subscribers or more.
Whether this was to make himself look small and defenseless against 3 well-renowned popular fandom elites is anybody's guess. But he continues on with his previous claim that labbratt tries to cancel people by not having her pronouns in her Twitter bio, hoping someone misgenders her. The thing he said wasn't the case in his now unlisted apology video.
Anyways, before I was getting a lot of heat, labbratt would have her pronouns removed from her Twitter bio, but not the rest of her social media pages, and then there would be people who were saying that she doesn't have to have them on Twitter to prevent judgment, but why have it on every other social media if that's the case? Better yet, why put it back on Twitter if that's the case? If that was truly the case, she wouldn't even say she was trans to anyone or make it public at all. So chances are, she could be using her identity to cancel people.
He was pushing the narrative that Lab deliberately removed them from her Twitter bio, but just not doing the same on her Discord or YouTube, unable to realize that maybe she didn't have them on her Twitter and added them there because Merlin misgendered her, saying that he couldn't have known because it wasn't in her bio. Now it is in her bio after he said it. That's it. I don't think it needs to be elaborated on how stupid it was for Dander to think that someone would deliberately remove their pronouns from their bio on one site just to get angry and cancel someone for using the wrong pronouns, only to re-add them on after the fact. But it doesn't stop there, as I would get my turn soon after.
And not only that, but LagoVirt decided to just tell me that I should just go and check my notifications right after he's tweeting. But like I said, I do not have the time to do that. I could be busy doing other things, and I'm not on Twitter right now at the moment.
He was online during this time. He flat out acknowledged what Merlin said even before he uploaded his apology.
And LagoVirt, I used to look up to you. I used to think you were an awesome content creator, but clearly you just decided to be an asshole and jump straight into conclusions that I'm transphobic without even listening to what I have to say. Shame on you, and shame on labbratt.
The screenshot he shows on screen shows me saying I'm not even going to entertain the idea of you yourself being a transphobe. I told him to his face I don't think he's a transphobe. I think he's a fucking child. It was at this point that I found further interacting with Dander wouldn't be worth it, so I just left my thoughts in a very, very critical comment and went on my way. And while the video is still up to this day, Dander would come to my Twitter DMs the very same day he uploaded it to apologize, saying that he misunderstood the situation. But seeing as Dander saw no problem with leaking our DMs, I chose not to respond, regardless of any further messages I received from him. Hearing all this, you're probably wondering to yourself, Benji, this situation is the stupidest thing I've ever seen blown out of proportion. Surely the rest of the video's runtime doesn't stem from Dander holding a grudge over the situation, right? I'm not sure you're gonna like the answer to that, but before we get into the rotten fruits of Dander's grudge, we're going to have to take a bit of a detour, as Dander would see himself getting into even more trouble before becoming our problem again. Like most content creators, Dander has a Discord server where his fans can enter and interact with other fans, as well as the content creator himself. There was only one issue, however. Dander allowed minors in his server, and given the content he was making at the time consisted of covering zoophiles like Hypnotist Sappho, allowing minors in a space where the subject of your video and people like them could invade at any point was worrying, as on August 14th, 2022, Dander's Discord server would receive a visit from a zoophile known as Zach the Z Guy. Upon their arrival, they would immediately draw aggro, multiple members of the server voicing their viscerally violent disdain for someone who wants to screw animals. At least they've got the spirit, I guess. There would be a heated back and forth until someone finally recommended kicking the zoo from the server, a miner in the server saying that they couldn't do so because they weren't a mod anymore. They then began to spam Dander with pings to remove the zoo file, with the miner mentioned previously sending gore to Zach for some reason. This continued until Dander finally banned him. However, the user returned on an alternate account the following day. Upon entering again, they would post 2 separate videos of bestiality in the general chat. Dander was apparently offline at the time this was happening, so given he couldn't watch his Discord server every moment of every day, you would expect him to have moderators that can handle issues while he's away, correct? Well, his moderators were online when this happened, but they couldn't ban the accounts, they could only kick it. What's more is that they didn't have the permission to delete the bestiality video Zach was posting in his server, putting any miner online at risk of clicking the video and seeing it themselves. At some point, Dander would be back online and ban the account as well as the content it posted, but not before remarking that it had the perfect amount of megabytes. Couldn't tell you why. After this was dealt with, you could see members in the server voicing their disappointment with Dander, telling him he should stop endangering minors, to which he would respond with the same excuse of, "I have a life outside of social media, I'm not online 24/7, regardless of the fact that wouldn't be an issue if he allowed his moderators to properly moderate. This incident would sort of be brought to the public in a video posted by Queen Seraphina, where it shows a voice call Dander had with Lao Convoy in his Discord server, The Senate. There should be a disclaimer on your screen right now. Essentially, Dander would get into a spat with Coyote Lovely, a former commentary YouTuber who has only gone downhill since being outed for a gay op he performed against hypnotist Sappho. This Twitter back and forth, where Dander claimed he was being blackmailed by Zach, would catch the attention of Lao Convoy, who would invite Dander to a voice chat in the Discord server, The Senate. This was due to Dander's allowance of at least 60 minors in his Discord server, regardless of the content he was covering. This resulted in a Discord call that ultimately just showed how mentally inept Dander could be, because after leaving the call, he would come back to give his own explanation as to the actual reason the zoo file got into his server.
You were literally sat here arguing about cookies and fucking brownies, but now that when people ask you a proper question,
I see what you're trying to get here. Y'all are trying to fuck me over. I see that you're changing my name. You're trying to fuck me over more. Fuck you, fuck Coyote Lovely, and fuck all of you.
Try harder, Patty. Try harder, Patty.
Oh, he's gone.
You have a lot to explain.
Yes, I do.
Dander. So let's have a conversation here.
Huh? So,
go ahead.
Okay, so the whole thing with my server, I actually got backstabbed, and what happened was one of my closest friends decided to stab me in the back, and basically he was inviting Zach. Him and Zach were working together, and I was thinking that it was done by brute force. He was the one that was inviting Zach in, and what he did last night is like the most unforgivable shit ever.
Oh, really? And what did he do last night that's so unforgivable?
He made a server, he had minors go into that server, and he was sending NSFW shit in there, and Zach the Z guy was in there.
And where did he get the minors for this server?
He got them from like other servers. There were some that used to be in my server, but they're banned. So
banned
yeah,
now. They're banned now because here's the issue here.
No, they were already banned from my server.
I'm not done. I said they're banned now.
Okay.
Now they are, because you just did it yesterday. So what you need to do is you need to shut your mouth and open your ears, because the entire root for all of this is your incompetence and cowardice.
Yeah, and it's my fault for fucking trusting him.
Dander wouldn't name this friend verbally, but the person that Dander was referring to goes by the handle of Galaxy. Galaxy is a past associate of Dander who, even after being accused of allowing a zoo into Dander's server, wouldn't entirely get screwed over by him until 2 months later, in October of 2022. This is when Dander had allegedly committed bank fraud, the claim being that Dander spent $500 using Galaxy's credit card. Dander could be seen in the DMs of his moderator at the time, bragging that during a meetup between him and Galaxy, Dander had gotten his credit card and PIN number. In his DMs with the mod, He says he bought a bottle of Gucci water, but in his server, he could be seen posting photos of Galaxy's credit card as well as his driver's license, effectively doxing him while saying that he already drained his credit card. Due to this occurrence, Galaxy would take this matter to Lio and the Senate.
Again, I've been here from
And
I
to be
usually
clear,
do art, but
my
this
name is
seems
Galaxy.
enough.
This is not Mr. Bubbles. I am Galaxy. And I know I was banned from here when I used to support Dander, but now the tables have really turned. Because he literally committed bank fraud against me and stole nearly $500 out of my bank, which makes it I think it's a felony to steal that much when it's over $500 in the state of Texas.
So you're a Galaxy then?
Yes, and I'm siding with Senate now because Dander stole $500,000 out of my bank when he stole my credit card and spent it all.
You have his real name and address. Why don't you report him to the cops?
I only have his first name, not his address. And people are already going to be giving me a copy of I'm already going to be giving a copy of the video of this call being recorded to my attorney. And I've already been in contact with my attorney, and they've suggested that I talk to you guys to get more additional third-party opinions to further support evidence that Dander truly did commit these crimes.
Well, considering the fact that, number one, we're not the arbiters of what is law and not. Granted, obviously playing fraud's illegal just about everywhere.
Opinions. It means it can be used in court. It's witnesses and people that are involved in the situation, which means that it can be a witness testimony.
Okay.
Which is what I'm
I mean,
doing. And mainly also after getting this uploaded to YouTube, because Novely's video, I'm sure you've seen Novely's video that covers Dander stealing my credit card, only has 2,500 views, which clearly is not enough eyeballs seeing that evidence.
He asked for the Senate to upload a video about what Dander had done because he wanted more eyes on their behavior, as the only video talking about this at the time was one made by Novely JPEG, which had 2,500 views at the time of this call. A member of the Senate would approach Dander due to the information, and...
You see, you understand. I said that in DM so that you could get your side of the story. So please tell me, why is it that we have quite literal screenshot evidence of you posting this person, Zoofile or not, posting this person's information on your public Discord server, and people are claiming that you stole money from him? I want to get your side of the story because this looks like a serious legal issue. Call me willful ignorant, but I really do want to help you.
It's okay if I can step in and try to explain it, if that's fine.
I honestly no, because I want to hear it from Dander.
Alright.
I'm gonna be honest right now. Galaxy did not have that much money, and so I only got a bottle of water with it. I didn't actually steal it.
Outside of admitting to getting the water with the card, Dander would address every question asked by pointing back to Galaxy and saying he's not innocent either. Galaxy has done the same things I have.
Okay. So what is this about you posting his personal information, his credit card, his ID, and what looks like his social on your public Discord account? What was that for?
Why does that matter, though?
What do you mean, why does that matter? That does matter. That's literal doxing. That is doxing, and that is a literal crime. What you just did could be considered a literal crime. If
Galaxy's done the same shit, so it doesn't matter.
But an excuse he would clutch onto for dear life was that it didn't matter that he committed bank fraud or doxed Galaxy, because Galaxy was a zoophile, at least according to Dander. It's unclear to me whether Galaxy himself is a zoophile, but given the fact he would later admit to teaming up with Zach the Z Guy to send bestiality in Dander's server, it certainly isn't out of the question. Regardless, this shouldn't justify Dander doxing someone after allegedly draining their credit card, especially given the way these events unfolded, because that would mean Dander willingly stuck around with a zoo for 2 months, even physically meeting up with them. However, Dander meeting up with a zoo for a presumed intimate encounter isn't as reprehensible as things would get concerning his server. As you might remember, I mentioned one of Dander's mods earlier. Well, that mod in particular, one that Dander was very close to, happened to be a minor. So how did Dander interact with this minor moderator? Dander would engage in both sexual and inappropriate conversations with his mod, being well aware of their age as he did so. You had conversations where Dander would tell them about the zoophile sting he was running, saying he was going to see if he could get the zoo to send some bestiality just to catch them in 4K. There were conversations where Dander would tell the miner about a VR chat erotic roleplay he was in for an hour and a half. You also have Dander telling the mod about the furry porn he saw on TikTok, the user allegedly getting unbanned despite that. Even telling a miner that minors shouldn't be on TikTok because his For You page showed a video of a girl getting SA'd. However, one of the more damning conversations the two would have would be in November of 2022, albeit one that the miner willingly engaged in. According to this miner, they were 16 at the time this chat occurred, Dander being 20 according to the Senate call. The context given by the moderator reads as such. This was a conversation where Dander was planning to go to MFF, or Midwest Furfest. Me being an immature and stupid little bitch, I got a little frisky with him to hype him up and get him excited about going. Dander knew the entire time that I was 16 when this conversation was had, in case people are wondering. Him not stopping the conversation was a bad move on his part, and me getting frisky with him was a bad move on my part. Looking through the screenshots, they do give the story of a miner attempting to hype up Dander for his time at Midwest Furfest 2022. The screenshots starting with messages such as, "I'm confident you'll find someone there. For your type, it's quite hard not to. I'm blushing hard. Good. That way you might just prepare yourself for when you actually get there. You're so wrong for this, XD." There would be other exchanges such as, "Just imagine all the people that are going to be there, dude. I'm pretty confident you'll find someone you liked fucking you, especially those that have that dominant vibe. The real question is, do you like when they beg you to breed them? You're definitely not innocent. Never have been, never will be. Though I am a virgin, I've had my fair share of ERP every now and then. Well, I'd be more careful with that kind of stuff since you're a minor. Especially if you do it with adults, you can get them in serious trouble." The chat would continue like this, Dander, as the adult in the conversation, not making an attempt to stop this conversation at any time. He would even ask his age during this exchange, saying that he was so wrong for turning him on. X3. Needless to say, but regardless of the minor initiating the sexual interaction, fault still falls on the adult for not stopping that shit in its tracks. The only defense Dander could have for these actions is blaming the minor for starting it, which, let's be honest, he just might. The minor did catch Dander in the act of attempting to delete evidence by culling their DMs after all. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he did. But while we're done covering some of the worst of Dander, we aren't done going through everything wrong he's done, as the start of 2023 would yield yet another migraine for a multitude of furry YouTubers. Dander's been known to have a history of issuing false copyright claims to creators that are critical of him. He even garnered a grudge with Coyote Lovely due to him finding issue with Dander being so frivolous with copyright strikes. This grudge even had him consider going on a copyright strike spree, a consideration that would cause the monkey's paw to curl near the start of March 2023. This is when a multitude of furry creators would find their channels getting hit with false copyright strikes, some having their most recent videos taken down, while others got hit for videos talking about Dander Woolf. Something one would notice at first was that everyone struck had some connection to Dander in some form, whether it was someone who was heavily critical of him publicly or even those who simply interacted with our makeshift circle at the time. Even a channel as large as Beta Eta de Loathe will receive a strike from the same person who struck all of us. That person working under the handle purpleyeenba. Purpleyeenba portrayed themselves as a 16-year-old trans furry with a particular infatuation for Dander, an infatuation that Dander didn't seem to reciprocate as he would block them. Looking at the past of this account, you can see signs of this obsession early on, such as pointing out to Dander that Beta follows him and defending him when he was being reprimanded by Coyote and the Senate. The two interacted often before the point of Dander blocking them. February 2023 is when Purpleyeenba will begin to obsess over wanting Dander to unblock them, even to the point of coming out as an AAM, an adult attracted minor. mentioning multiple content creators associated with each other to get attention for doing so. But as I said, this account wouldn't become a thorn in the sides of many until they began to send false copyright strikes to multiple creators, their plan being to hold our videos hostage so that Dander would unblock them. On top of that, they used these copyright claims as a way to get our personal information had we chosen the counterclaim. Novelly, who was 16 years old at the time, would counter the claim made against them, purpleyeenba threatening to use the info in that claim to dox him if Dander didn't unblock them. Labbratt would also get screwed over by this ordeal pretty badly, as she received 2 copyright strikes opposed to everyone else's 1. This rendered her unable to upload and having to private the rest of her video catalog out of fear that the years of work she did on her channel would just be erased. Given how observant my viewers usually are, you can probably already guess the twist I've been setting up for, given how similar these actions sound to someone we've been talking about. But in case it wasn't obvious yet, purpleyeenba would make a YouTube channel, uploading videos where they announced who they were false copyright striking through a Roblox avatar while ear-grating music overlaid. Remember how Dander's videos used Roblox gameplay for B-roll? This should have been the point where it all clicked. This should have been the point where I realized purpleyeenba was just Dander on an alternate account. Unfortunately, I was just kinda busy being tilted off the planet as my first sponsored video got struck down days after upload, with the reason being my own fucking Sona stills. And that's just a generous observation. The timestamp they put had my Sona in it, sure, but the reason they gave was, and I quote, bunny t-t. They let this shit pass through. Good fucking job, YouTube. Regardless, this would go on for a few days. Creators mentioning YouTube on Twitter in an attempt to get any help against someone who was actively misusing their copyright system for the most obscene of reasons. Getting virtually no aid even with the amount of eyes our uproar gained. However, on one sudden day, mysteriously, the day Dander would get his family called due to the multiple strikes getting issued, the strikes on our channels would just magically get revoked. One by one, the strikes were reversed. It's confusing. Why would Dander getting his parents contacted result in this person, who surely wasn't Dander, undoing everything? Well, Dander would eventually admit in private that the purpleyeenba account was him. He would say his reason for doing so was that he was completely losing his shit, tired of being bullied, being looked down upon, being avoided, which is why he did what he did. Tired of being avoided by us, he would, give us even more reason to avoid him, by revealing this year-long LARP of his, by revealing that he, as a YouTube creator, broke the taboo of abusing copyright against creators he didn't like. Nice. Real nice. So this would be the end of the purpleyeenba ordeal, and yet Dander remained the same maliciously ignorant nuisance he was during this entire ordeal. Call me an asshole for describing him as such, but what followed the purpleyeenba saga only further proved my beliefs of Dander being an irredeemable sociopath. It's already been made clear that doxing isn't a taboo to Dander. However, Galaxy isn't the only person he's doxed. He could be seen in his chats with his minor moderator getting angry at someone and considering doxing them. It seems he finds no issue doing this as, according to him, he can't be doxed, because Google Maps doesn't show anything if you search his address. So because of this, he has no issue doxing others. From random users he doesn't like to spreading the alleged personal info of both VR chat devs and the Supreme Court justices. Knowing this now, it makes it less surprising that after the purpleyeenba situation came to a close, someone close to Dander took it upon themselves to dox labbratt as well as attempt to dox multiple other friends of hers, including myself. I came out pretty much unscathed. My YouTube presence all they really had to work off of, shown by the fact they listed my full name, as John LagoVirt. But unfortunately, we weren't all so lucky, as not only was Lab fully doxxed, but a number of other friends were as well, such as Hunt the Hound, Novely, who was 17 at this point, and Simple Nix, a friend of the channel and someone who was harassed by Dander both on and offline, to the point they stepped away from their platform on YouTube. This is something they would open up about in Novely's most recent upload concerning Dander.
And I know I always say this, but I'm like, I really do want to come back to YouTube, because the reality is it sucks that it wasn't even my community. It wasn't anybody else's community that fucking pushed me off the platform. It wasn't like a call out or a cancellation or anything like that. It was just this psycho asshole who decided he wanted to copyright strike all of us. That's fucked up. Like, he ruined the platform for me. I could not find any passion in doing any kind of videos anymore, because it was so stressful thinking back on what I had just gone through with all this Dander Woolf drama. It was so obnoxious. I couldn't get myself to want to make videos anymore. And it had nothing to do with my community. It had nothing to do with my friends, my peers. It had everything to do with this person put me through a month of turmoil, of stress, of trying to keep everybody together and everybody like to stop losing their shit, because it felt like everyone was kind of leaning on me. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, I don't know what the f to do. Like, this dude just randomly copyright striking us. I don't know who he is. I don't know what to do. He went to a doxxer to tell him all our problems. He went to a doxxer to say, oh, I'm really upset with all these people. And then of course the doxxer went and doxed us. And instead of just saying, hey guys, I really f***ed up, he was more concerned with his own ass. Because I was telling him, you need to tell this person to stop. You need to tell this person to leave us alone. Lovely's a minor. You are literally having a minor dox. You had my computer compromised. You had my Twitter hacked because you went to a really dangerous person that even you're afraid to confront. And he didn't care about any of that. All he cared about was saving his own and making himself look like a victim.
Nix had Dander blocked for a while and told them in DMs that they wanted nothing to do with Dander, but Dander couldn't quite respect those boundaries.
Flashcut to TFS 2023. Dander shows up at my booth because I think it's his local convention, and he is, first off, he is like going on and on about how broke he is because he has absolutely no money, because he kind of just showed up there, which, you know, okay. But it was very clear that he was, either he had forgot that I had explicitly told him to stay away from me, or that he didn't care, that he was just ignoring my comfort. He was ignoring the fact that I wanted nothing to do with him, and looking back on it, it's very upsetting that I could be as explicit as possible and tell someone I don't want anything to do with you, and they can still push my boundaries. And so he was at my booth, and he had bought something clearly as like an olive branch attempt, and I'm like, whatever, fine, buy a shirt. That's neither here nor there, but it was very clear that Dander had intended, because I was talking with some new friends I had made at the convention. Like, we had hung out all weekend. We were really vibing with each other. It was great. It was two girls, and so it was two girls and me and my girlfriend, and we were having a really great time. We were going to go to the bar. We're going to have like a little mini party. It was just going to be a really fun time. And Dander had invited himself because we were talking. He comes up and invites himself. And so he waits until the den closes, to just pretty much follow us to my room. He is attempting to follow us to my room. We got to the elevators before I had to just turn and say, you are not welcome. I do not want anything to do with you. I cannot make that more clear. And it was very awkward. It was an incredibly awkward scenario because I had to explain to these people that I had they were friends, but they were very new friends. I had to explain to them, yes, I'm sorry I came across like an asshole, but this person had me doxxed. This person has put me through hell, and I want nothing to do with them. And it's very awkward. And they were like, no, we get it. He was very awkwardly following us, and we had no idea why. Like, it was a very uncomfortable situation for me, the people I was with, my girlfriend. It was just across the board uncomfortable, and it was just a very large display of either social unawareness or just not caring about social boundaries. But that's generally my thoughts on that. Dander has absolutely made all the YouTubers' life hell. He almost pushed a YouTuber to the brink, and it was a lot. And it made YouTube a very contentious place for me. It made it a place where all I could really think about is there are people who are crazy enough to go out of their way to do this, to drag 17 to 21 people into their drama because they're trying to cancel a YouTuber that does not like them. So he's absolutely unhinged, and I want absolutely nothing to do with him, and I can't make that clear enough. I gave him the grace. I feel like this is grace. I feel like this is grace to be given, as I did not talk about him publicly in this way. Even though I had all the ability to do so, I had all the screenshots, I even had some voice clips that I could have used. I could have just gone on anywhere and said, Dander Woolf is purpleyeenba. Obviously, I was wrong in my video. He had us doxxed. He copyright struck 17 people. He did everything. I had to ban him from my chat. I had to kick him out of my chat because he was in an all age spaces again trying to talk about the Coyote Lovely situation, talk about Hypnotist Sappho, and I'm like, you cannot talk about zoophile accusations where minors are involved. I kicked him out of my chat and I told him, stay away from me. It is very frustrating.
Even after having Nyx doxxed, he assumed he could just go up to their vendor booth at a con and everything would just be water under the bridge. Because of course he wasn't the one who tried to dox us all, it was his friend. His friend who he was too scared to talk down from doxing us because he was scared he would get doxed along with us. You know, the guy who was undoxable because Google Maps didn't show shit, right? Now, let me make it clear, I don't condone doxing in any circumstance, so don't try doxing him because of this. Doxing Dander doesn't make you any better than Dander or his acquaintance. It makes you just as much of a malicious worm. So with hearing all of this, you probably realize something. Everything I've been bringing up is about a year or older as of me recording this. If this is being brought up now, then surely that means Dander is still getting up to these same antics, right? If that's what went through your mind, you'd be correct. Dander has come out of every one of the ordeals I listed to this point without taking away a single lesson. The majority of this section will be reviewing content shown in Novelly's recent upload covering Dander, so watch that if you'd like the full context to what I'll be going over. But going forward, I heard nothing concerning Dander going forward myself. I had him blocked and no one around me really brought him up, so I assumed all was fine. Yeah, that wasn't the case apparently, as Dander found himself in a beef with a creator by the handle of Zunks. Zunks has their own pile of controversy following them, but I personally haven't seen anything against them that paints them as malicious. Just someone who can come off as obnoxious or ear-grating at worst. But that hasn't stopped some people from doxing Zunks whenever possible, Dander being someone who would call Zunks his phone when his number was leaked.
Can I have gay sex with you?
Nexus is wild.
What?
Nexus is crazy.
Oh, bro. But still, you didn't answer the question. Is that a yes or a no?
I didn't hear your question.
Gay sex with you when?
You almost done? It's so glad you didn't hide your number. Now I get to block it.
Holy shit, bro.
Now, during that clip, you probably saw an image flash up on screen of the gay sex Dander was mentioning. Well, that gay sex wasn't consensual, but let's rewind a bit. March 2024 was a busy month concerning Dander, as this is when both the Real Wolfgang and Novelly would release videos condemning Dander's behavior. Novelly's video in particular would receive a copyright strike against it from Dander. It was around the time of this upload that it would come to light Dander had not only copyright struck someone who made a critical video of him, but commissioned smut of his Sona with theirs. Zunks first, then Wolfgang, then Novelly. I don't think it needs to be said how vile something like this is, but I do have to question how the fuck this art came to be. Dander didn't draw it himself, and usually artists will go out of their way to ensure everyone who has a character involved in a commission consents to the piece being made. Let's hope no one finds out who the artists for these are, just saying. And even then, you still have to wonder why this is. Why has Dander not been able to change for the better? Why has he not been able to figure out that these behaviors are what drive people away from him? that results in him only being surrounded with the bottom of the barrel? Well, it's because he doesn't have to, obviously. You can be like myself and get shunned by some of the larger names in the fandom. Me being blocked by those people isn't suddenly going to make me change my ways or realize I did something shitty. That's up to me to figure out and work on from there. Such is the case with Dander. Even with people like myself making it clear we want nothing to do with him because of what he put us through, what exactly about that is incentivizing him to change his actions? It also doesn't help that there are those out there who willingly downplay those same behaviors, saying he can explain why he did what he did, unlike the person we don't like.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's not really as bad as what Zunks did.
Fair.
Oh yeah, Zunks has done a lot, and I have a lot of
Zunks
evidence
has
for it
done
too.
far
Something
worse
that
than what
he
Dander
loves.
did, right?
Yeah, but
Dander, he can back up his claims and stuff. Zunks can't.
Oh, of course. Dander was just in a dark place when he had me and my friends' copyright struck and doxxed. Yeah, that explains it. What I'm trying to get at here is that this video wasn't a wake-up call or a video to persuade Dander to change himself, as I don't believe that's something I can do. This video is just to catalog the actions and controversies of Dander in hopes that people will be more cautious of those they interact with. Just as people shouldn't be engaging in doxing, perjury, inappropriate talks with minors, etc., people shouldn't be constantly giving second chances to people who perform them. You can only give someone so many second chances and say they'll change one of these days before it just starts to lose its meaning. Will Dander change? Well, maybe. I'm not going to say he won't. I'm sure there's a non-zero chance of it happening. As for how I see it, me and the people I have and had associated with have been burned by his actions too many times to count, and my stash of second chances has sadly been spent. All I can say at this point is thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.
Funding for this program was made possible by